Hello, my name is Sarah Prestridge from Griffith University, Queensland, Australia. My research areas are in digital pedagogy. This series is looking at asynchronous versus asynchronous in how we design remote but also online learning. This video is part of series 3 where we're looking at what we have learned about remote learning. Now we know that students have greater choice in an online space. I think that's an interesting idea by the fact that they have less choice in the classroom for learning. But it's interesting, that idea, and teachers have talked about it, because when they're in a classroom, the students are used to the protocols and the roles of learning behaviour. But online, that's different. They haven't had those experiences, for one thing, but also in an online space, it's very new. So the shift has to go straight to student and teacher to student. So that's an interesting space to be in. So if we have this greater student choice to engage, not engage, and how they're engaging, how do we design learning online? Let's have a look at the basis, which I have said before is asynchronous space. We have our learning management systems such as our OneNote spaces, and there's other software, Moodle, Blackboard, that creates the context where the content can sit for students. This material, you might have a pathway that leads students through that, which has a number of different activities and is designed in a way that students can make choices. They make choices to engage and maybe even at what stage they're engaging at with that material. So the learning pathway or pathways may be there, and they're embedded in our learning management systems such as OneNote. On top of those are the activities they do with that content. So that idea is there's collaborative spaces. So the content that you're asking them to engage with in the asynchronous spaces, they do something with it. It's not just enough, I think, to create a teaching video, but in that video, you offer the next activity, how this relates to pre-activity, the next activity, and supporting students with the connection and getting them to do something with the material. So even though we have all that content sitting there, we have to give them spaces to do something with that. And that could be a discussion forum, or it could be a collaborative space, or both, depending on the purpose and the material that you're working with. On top of that idea, and I think this is an interesting one I've been talking to teachers about, is a quiz being used to check. We often think to check that the students have got the knowledge that we've asked them to attain through our learning management system and the videos we're asking them to look at. But why don't we flip that around and actually use it, get the students to use it as a learning resource to scaffold their learning. So the quiz then becomes a tool that they actually look at the content with. So if I need to know these things to be able to answer this quiz and to move on to the next level, or move on to the next pathway, then I'll use that as a scaffolding, a learning tool. The idea also that there's a game-based entry, so students could go straight to learning pathway 2 or use the material in a that they feel that's relevant to them, because again, it's about offering greater choices and greater opportunities for them to have control of their pathway and their learning. Self-checking is key, I think, in these spaces. The self-checking material that's available, because we're never going to be able to mark everything and give feedback, but there'll be points where in your learning pathways that you ask students to give you material to work with it and mark. So the idea that they've got material to self-check with, or they're using their peers to self-check, and that's a very key opportunity that we could draw into these online environments. Peer checking. On top of that, once we've built our asynchronous space, we look at the asynchronous tools. Again, asynchronous is our platform, and the synchronous becomes how we can enact different activities to make that content come alive and be active with it. So small group meeting spaces where you can allocate times and spaces that children can meet and discuss certain points together. Whole class sessions that you might want to focus on a particular point, or that you're seeing the students aren't fully getting, that you want to do some more explicit instruction. Opt-in sessions are fabulous. So the student knows that, okay, I don't need to allocate any time to that because I'm okay with this, I'm going to move on. But their choice is there. So they're opt-in opportunities for students to have. And the check-ins. Now, the check-ins have never been rated highly in the research so far that we've seen, but a check-in might be an administrative tool that you're using, but it needs to be identified as that because students know that, and it's their choice then to be engaging in and actually attend at that. So can we do that in a different way? I'm just saying it might be an idea to think about the events that we want to create in these spaces. Should we orientate them to administrative duties, or should we orientate them to learning activities? So there is a picture. Asynchronous sits at the bottom, and that's our basis, our platform for designing, and then we build the tools and the activity, the student engagement around that material that we've created in our synchronous space. Activity can be asynchronously as well in the discussion forums. For more examples and more ideas that we found in research and literature, please go to our YouTube channel. It's under online teaching videos and the QR code is there. I hope you got something out of that. Thank you.